Welcome to GISTUBE TV first. Let me just do that here. Subscribe to this channel. Just subscribe already. I mean, if you've been coming or you're new here, don't worry. You're in good hands, in safe hands. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video already. I promise you're going to enjoy it.
Inodilai wa Inodilai Rojion. Is the Awujale of Ijebu land dead? Yes. Oba Kayode Adetono, the Awujale of Ijebu land, has passed on. He died in the evening of Sunday, the 13th of July 2025. It is such a somehow day in Nigeria, honestly, because just a few hours ago, we learned of the passing of the former president of the country, Muhammadu Buhari, who passed at the age of 82. Now his close friend, Awujale of Ijebu land, who had been Kabiesi of Ijebu land since the year 1960 and who was very close with the president, passed on hours after at the age of 91. Buhari died at the age of 82. The Awujale passed on at the age of 91. This man ascended the throne on the 2nd of April 1960. He reigned for over 64 years. He was the longest serving traditional ruler in Nigerian history up until his passing. Like you say, he held the title up until he passed on. And I don't know, people are beginning to say, oh, who is likely to ascend the throne after his passing? Because according to reports, there are a lot of persons who have been patiently waiting, or maybe impatiently waiting even, for the passing of this man, so that, you know how royalty is and how the royal stool and the throne thingy moves around in most should I say, is it, I don't know, is it in most lands now or in most villages or towns? It's sort of between different families, right? And this is coming shortly after we learned of the passing of the Olubadan, and people saying that the next person to be Olubadan is Rashid Ladoja, right? Who was the Otun of the recently deceased Olubadan of Ibadan land. So it's like there's sort of a hierarchy or a rotation that happens. So people are beginning to question who is going to be the next Awujale of Ijebu land. That is left for the kingmakers to decide, right? Because I'm sure some families, as much as the Ijebu people, Nigeria in general, is mourning the loss of some of these two very powerful men, right? Some other families are looking forward to, oh, so this is some good news for us, because it means we can also move forward in history and nominate one of ours to become the Awujale of Ijebu land. Now, the friendship between Buhari and the late Awujale, Oba Adetono, dates as far back as 1980s and was actually cemented under very extraordinary circumstances. What happened? Thank you for asking. You know that Buhari used to be a military head of state before he became our president again in 2015, right? So in 1983, just before his military coup, that's Buhari's military coup, remember that Oba Adetono had been Kabiyesi since 1906. So this is like 23 years into the reign of Adetono as Kabiyesi of Ijebuland, right? During the Buhari coup, just before Buhari's military coup, Olabisi Onabanjo, who was the then Ogun State governor, already signed a formal order that was to depose Adetono. You know that was when a lot of persons were going into exile. In fact, Buhari himself had a period of, going into exile and all of those things. A lot of these people had to leave the country at some point, find solace somewhere because the nation wasn't safe for them. So the then Ogun State governor had signed a formal order that was deposing him, and it was scheduled to be removed on the 2nd of January in 1984. But by December 31st of 1983, Buhari's coup happened, right? And then that moved the Nigerian civilian government that was supposed to happen then. He altered the plan because of the military coup. And so Buhari's intervention and him becoming the head of state preserved Awujale's reign. Do you get? Because they've been friends, they had a relationship or like a friendship going on, and so he helped retain the Awujale of Ijebu land, Obadetono. He helped retain him in power, and he remained in power until he passed away. It's just sad to hear that this man passed. Awujale had 3 wives in his in his lifetime. He married Iyabo Oke, he married Modupe Kondayo and Mama Oluwakemi Dodo Williams, right? Is actually quite sad to hear that he has passed. I can't imagine how a lot of persons must be feeling. Ijebu people who really revere this man and rate him, and of course Yoruba land, the nation at large. It's quite instrumental. So someone that has been there since 1960. That was when Nigeria finally gained independence and we became a republic and all of those things. So he's been there through it all, right? He was born on the 10th of May 1934 into the royal house of Anikinaya of Ijebu land in Ijebu Ode. His father was Prince Rufai Adetono Adeleke, the son of Oba Adeleke. But I don't know. I don't want to butcher their name, so let me not just talk much about that. But for his education, he attended various Baptist schools in Ijebu Ode. He had his education in Ijebu Ode, basically. For his secondary education too, he attended the now Adiola Odutola College, which was formerly Oluiwa, from 1951 to 1956. He also took up an appointment from 1957 to 1958 with the then audit department of the Western region in Ibadan. He moved to United Kingdom to study accountancy in UK, because we're the colonial ruler in Nigeria then. And on the 4th of January 1960, the permanent secretary in the Western Region Ministry of Local Government sent a letter to the local government advisor in Ijebu Ode and said they should appoint Prince Sikiru Kayode Adetono as king, and his confirmation was confirmed effective from that date. So they had to arrange for the homecoming of, like I mentioned, he had relocated to the UK to study accountancy. That was just 2 years before, right? So he accepted the throne at a very, very young age. So when he came back, he did the traditional seclusion and all of those things are supposed to do. And it was crowned on the 5th of April 1960. And that's it. He was 26 when he ascended the throne, and he passed away at the age of 91. It's quite sad to hear of his passing, and I will just let you guys in the comment section drop your condolences and what you think about it. And also, like question that I posted earlier, which of the royal families in Ijebu land do you think the next Awujale of Ijebu land will come from? Is it going to also be like somebody who is not based in the country? Because that seemed like to be a trend in I don't know, in the monarch system recently that we've seen. The Oni of Ife, the Olu of Wari, the Alaafin of Oyo, a lot of them. Even the late king himself had to come back from the UK to ascend the throne of his fathers. So let me know what you think also about how the ascension will go. You can drop your condolences in the comment section. Somebody was even like, maybe he heard of the passing of Buhari and his heart just couldn't take it because it's already frail and all that. It was 91. So you can imagine that it was already very very fragile. He even said that he does not live in the palace, because if he should die in the palace, they would have to bury him according to how they're supposed to bury kings. But if he dies in his own home, right, not the palace home, if he dies in his own home, then his family would be the one to take care of his funeral rites. So I don't know where he actually passed, what location he passed at. Maybe it was in the palace or it was in his house, but people say he does not sleep at home in the palace, right? So let's see how the funeral arrangements will go. I would let you know about that as the information becomes public. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.